So yeah, let's go into this Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies piece. They're making some assumptions here and projections.
It's funny that
and a lot of it is, replacement rate. A lot of it is, related to immigration.
I don't even think about, I didn't even really think that much about immigration. I kind of acknowledged it, especially because Harvard had an article last year that was almost downplaying immigration's role in driving up housing costs. It was an implicit rebuttal to a John Burns Research and Consulting piece that said, "Hey, immigration went up, and also housing went up during these points in the pandemic." And Harvard went back. They didn't clap back, but they released data that was like, hey, just in case people are thinking this, actually housing prices went up before immigration went up. So there's not a perfect correlation between immigration and housing prices, but they are saying in this piece that there is a correlation between housing demand and immigration. So it's strange for me. I think they're having it both ways a little bit, but
I think you're having it both ways.
Yeah. But my point is,
I don't see how. I mean, I think that it's like most things, like all things. There's some nuance.
Yeah,
it's not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's a talking point of saying basically immigration is the reason for housing prices that have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the reason, but it is a reason. It is a factor.
Yeah.
It is a variable. The question is not if, but just how much and to what degree.
Yeah.
And I think Harvard, just stereotyping a little bit, they typically are showing up on like the left end of the spectrum in terms of housing, and often providing a counterpoint. And I think that, again, I'm speculating here,
Mm-hmm.
but they saw a narrative in the housing market related to immigration, and they probably didn't like the anti-immigration rhetoric, and they wanted to put a piece out to somewhat counter it, to subdue it. And they're basically saying, look, it's not that extreme. It's more nuanced. It's not just because there's been immigration that's been driving housing costs, but they probably went maybe a little too far and to downplay that it's a factor at all. So it's somewhere in the middle, but there's been a lot of studies. I mean, I remember almost a decade ago reading a report from, I don't think it was Harvard Center for it doesn't matter, but essentially laying out that the difference between, positive population growth in the United States and flat or negative is immigration.
That is my takeaway here is
and that's
not,
the big picture.
Yeah. I'm not disputing immigration as a like very relevant and important aspect of population growth, household growth, housing demand in general. I'm just saying that population growth is at a point right now where immigration is a bigger factor. The fact that a little swing in immigration can have this big swing in the housing demand of the United States, it means that we're in this sensitive point. So I think that this overall takeaway is actually a little similar to some of the projections we covered on the Gray Report years ago. There was a Cushman and Wakefield, this was early days of the Gray Report, talking about like 20, 25 years hence and where this is like a demographic cliff. And I don't think that it is a bad thing to be building more housing now. If we end up with—
We obviously need it.
Yeah, we need it. If we end up with much more housing, or a lot more housing than we need, then the affordability crisis is
the word
solved.
Well, that's the thing. So from our talking our book, we're investing in housing, we're investing in apartments. The best thing for us would for no one to build any more housing ever again, because you have limited supply and the prices of it all go up and the rents go up. That's not what we want, though. We want a balanced market. We want some, steady growth over time, finding areas that need more investment into housing, invest in those markets, take advantage of the inefficiencies. But it would be, if we built way too much housing, which we're proponents of, let's build a lot more housing. We need to build more housing. We're investing into housing. That would lower the price of housing.
Yeah. And so that's kind of bad
for us, good for everyone.
My rejoinder to that, to the kind of fears of that, is I'm guessing that developers will react to this. There will be a dial back in apartment construction as a result of this lower demand. That is a problem that can be solved. I still think it is. There is going to be an interesting moment coming up in the next 10 to 15 years where we may be at a turning point between unaffordability and affordability, between over and under supply.
But it's also, we're looking at, population and population growth of an entire country versus different areas. It's all, we'll say
very good point.
Local. So you might have, negative population. Let's say we have a declining population in the United States, which we're basically kind of flat right now, barely positive. there will still be markets that are growing. There will be more markets that are declining. But like, let's look at a market like New York City, for example. New York City is a declining market, declining population growth. They're adding tons of new inventory.
Yeah.
There are still opportunities. I'm not investing in New
That's a
York
good
for
point.
a variety of reasons, but certain areas of New York, people are leaving. Other places, people are moving into. Same thing with California. People are still building new apartments in California, even though I don't know.
And the other thing that I would say too is there is, and I don't know how much of it is like not real or not, but like houses depreciate. There's a cost to maintain that house before it falls down and collapses in and on itself, and same thing with apartments. So that cost has to be factored in. It's not like you build a house or it's not like the baby boomers give you the keys and that house is perfect. Maybe some of these houses aren't doing so well, so you're gonna have to build one anyways. There's a little bit that may not be perfect, but that's just another
Here's another factor where what this piece doesn't get into is declining growth rates, demographics is also lead to lower interest rates, lower inflation. And so while look at a place like other developed countries,
Japan.
Germany, Japan, Switzerland, places like that, UK, not exactly centers for growth, but their cap rates, their interest rates are way lower than they are here in the US, and their cap rates are way lower than they are here in the US.
So another kind of comforting thing that I have is this is far enough into the future where there is some uncertainty. It's not a set thing that, oh man, we need more people. Things are going to go, so much poorly because, it's not just it's not one administration that's going to be able to determine immigration. And if you scroll down, actually, you can see the immigration estimates here. So from the period, I guess, from 2021 to now, immigration was actually a little bit lower in terms of raw numbers than it was between 2021 and 2011. In other words, during the Bush administration, immigration was higher, according to these numbers.
No, Obama deported way more people than Trump did, or George W. Bush did.
Yeah. And so
it was much tighter on immigration.
Despite the fact and according to these lines, actually, there was a very dramatic increase in immigration. And so I'm kind of cheating by saying it's the average, but the average between 2021 and now is lower than it was in between, in the first part of 2000s. And I say that too, and I say raw numbers because the population has been increasing in that time. And so, percentage wise, we may be a little bit lower in immigration. My kind of point is that these things change. It's hard to predict, and
it's something to watch.
And something to watch.
To be aware of.
Watch it along with those tariffs, and also remember, the exciting words are maybe a little bit different than the boring reality. But who knows? Maybe everything's going to be exciting. And wow, that'd be a great Gray report. I can't wait to report on it.
Well, and then 10 years from now, you're like, all right, we're here. Where are we at?
Yeah.